All right, guys, we're back here at Starfire. I'm sitting here with Travis. We've had Travis on before, and we're going to do a little bit of Ryder Cup recap. I know we're about a week off of this, maybe a little bit more, but there's been some post-Ryder Cup activity that I kind of wanted to get a handle on before we approached you guys with our recap. So we'll touch on the Solheim Cup as well, but Travis, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate you scraping the bottom of the barrel to get me back here.
Come on, man. No. We always have a blast with you and on the show and off the show with conversation. So you and I will, just to give the ladies their props.
Good.
We had the Solheim Cup. It was a 14-14 push, which meant that Europe retained the cup. But how do you feel about that?
About Europe retaining the cup? I don't mind that at all. I like a little combativeness. I like a little back and forth. I like that it's not just the Americans dominating like when the men did, when it was only the men versus the Europeans back in the day, or men versus UK and Ireland, I guess. So I like the competition for sure. It was fun to see somebody like Charlie Hull, who's been on fire all year. I don't think maybe she had her most favorite or best Ryder Cup ever. I don't really know how she wound up, but there were some good shots hit. And what a fantastic golf course. I like the golf course.
The golf course was amazing.
Yeah.
So, what is it? Because we're going to get into the Ryder Cup, but what is it about the women in the Solheim Cup being able to have their tournament with no drama? like the only drama that I remember coming out of this was the final day. Lexi Thompson had a really, really awkward shot, and to I think potentially win her match, and it didn't go as planned, which we all know that's golf. And she got a lot of heat for it, got a little questioned, but that was like the biggest drama for Solheim Cup.
Well, yeah, this year for sure. Do you think testosterone has anything to do with it?
Oh, no. What, egos, testosterone? No.
Oh, but if you go back over history, like Suzanne Pedersen, who ironically is this year's captain for the Solheim Cup, she was in like a little drama a few years back ago against Jenny Lee when Jenny Lee thought the putt was conceded because Suzanne Pedersen walked off the green. So she picked it up, and Suzanne Pedersen called her on it. And granted, Suzanne was right, but that was like a little gamesmanship in my book where she left.
We're going to talk about some gamesmanship here a little bit later on.
So that created a lot of drama. And then maybe a year or two before that, there was a deal with Annika Sorenstam, of all people, that was made to replay a chip because she played out of turn during a Solheim Cup match. So it lends itself to a little drama. So even the ladies are guilty.
They were drama-free.
But you're right. This year, very classy.
Yeah, very classy. Very classy Solheim Cup. So, hats off to the Americans. They did play well. It was a push, but, let's be real. They had a better showing than the men.
Oh, yeah. At least it was worth watching.
Right.
Ooh, no offense, man, but I had more fun watching the Solheim Cup.
After that first day, after the beatdown, let's get into the Ryder Cup. After that beatdown on Friday, I felt like as a fan and as a fan of the Americans, like the wind had just been taken out of my sails. Like it was rough.
Yep. Yeah, as an American, it hurt. But I watched Saturday just to see if the Europeans could close us out.
Yeah.
A day early.
That's what you were looking for, is like, and getting into it. And honestly, it looked like they were until Patrick Cantlay, last two holes of his match, birdie, when you didn't think it was going to happen, he came in charging. But yeah, let's talk about the Ryder Cup. We'll start with day one. Day one started with Zach Johnson asleep, drunk from the gala. I don't know, but started out not putting his best guys out first. I don't think there was a Scheffler. There wasn't a Koepka. He left JT and Spieth, who eventually JT was playing better than Spieth over the Ryder Cup, but still they're a formidable pairing. We talked about that. And so left them all, on the bench for a lot of maybe Ryder Cup rookies getting out there. It was just like, I mean,
Get out there, set the tone, get the points early.
and don't you
Get the
kinda
team
wanna leave
motivated.
that to your veterans?
Yeah. Yep.
That's their
Yep.
job. The guys that have been there, like your hot hands, like, I don't think there was one major winner out there for the first rounds on Friday morning. So you let Scheffler, Koepka, Clark, and Harmon sit. That seems
Yeah.
real smart to me.
Yeah.
And now then from there then we got trounced. I think it was 4-ball started off first, and then it was match play after that.
So, yeah, 4-ball, then foursomes.
Yeah, foursomes.
And
Yeah.
then it finishes with match play.
It
It's all
finishes
match play,
with
but then it's
singles match, but
individually
yeah.
a single.
But yeah, I mean, after that first round of 4-ball, I think it was, like, now you're playing from behind.
Yeah.
Like, it was rough. So we had that, and then later on that day, going into Saturday morning, there was the article by, I'm forgetting the dude's name, but there was an article about Patrick Cantlay not wearing his hat because he wants to get paid, and now it's causing a team rift between them, and him and Shoffley are sitting in another area dressing separately. That was the original report, that they were dressing separately. There's this whole rift inside the team.
Oh, my
locker
gosh.
room. Then you have that coming out over, from Friday to Saturday. You have Zach Johnson's horrible press conference on Friday night saying, "Oh, there's a little team bug going through."
Yeah, I
but
heard
I'm still
that.
proud of my guys. Like, what the hell? What?
Oh.
So now we go into Saturday. We got another round of foursomes and 4-ball, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And the Europeans now on Saturday have a chance to close out the Americas. That's why I was watching. That's why I got
Yep.
up that early.
Yep.
Like, well, let's see what happens here. And that with going on, and then the European fans are, giving it to Cantlay all day,
Yeah.
and pretty much Saturday to have any shot comes down to, forget who Cantlay was paired with that day. Do you remember?
Nope, I do not.
But
I do not.
it came down to their group, and they were playing against Rory and I think it was Rory and Fleetwood. Maybe not, but Rory. It was Rory and his partner versus Cantlay and his partner, and Cantlay birdied 17, and then sunk a long putt for birdie on 18, which caused the Americans to go nuts. They all start waving their hat at the European crowd. Caddy Joe Lavaca, who used to be on Tiger's bag, now is on Cantlay's bag. Maybe does his celebration a little bit longer in the middle of the green, which causes a scuffle between, or a little verbal spat between him, Rory, and Shane Lowry. And I'm sorry, Rory, you're not that guy. I'd give Lowry more of a shot against Lavaca than you. Like, you've been on this tour since, you were chosen to be the next Tiger and hand-groomed for this. I highly doubt he's been in many little schoolyard scuffles. Let's
Right.
just say that.
Right. Oh, come on, the fighting Irish? Come on. But Joe LaCava looks like he's maybe been in a tussle or two for sure, right?
And so does Shane Lowry. Shane Lowry looks like he knows his way around a barroom fight.
Shane might have just left a barroom fight the night before.
Shane
Yeah.
could have. So there's that drama. So you saw that. What did you think of that?
Well, I kind of put a little onus on LaCava, and I know I'm probably in the minority that I felt like he was a little provoking, but when McIlroy kind of walks by him, who knows what McIlroy said that can really get you lathered up. But also,
Exactly.
LaCava and Cantlay were taking it in the face all day, on the chin all day by the crowds. I'm sure by that time you're just a little ornery and wore out and beat up and chippy, and so who knows. Nonetheless, I hate to see that kind of happen because caddies should know better, players should know better. It was just the end of the day and the heat of the moment got to everybody.
Okay, and so I 50% agree with you.
That's fair. I don't think
So-
many people agree with me.
No, I know. Part of it is the old school, like you're the caddy, blah, blah, blah. Like, kind of like, The Rock used to say in wrestling, know your role and shut your mouth.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, there's kind of that, there's that mentality.
Yeah.
However, this wasn't in a PGA event. Rory's been on record before saying, oh, it's just an exhibition, so he's downplayed it. Like you said, we don't know what Rory could have said after a day of you and your guy taking it on the chin from the European fans
Yeah.
all day long.
Yep.
And like you were talking about the gamesmanship on the LPGA with, what was it, Annika?
Back in the day with Suzanne Pedersen
Yes.
and Jenny Lee, I think.
I honestly think,
Allison Lee.
after Cantlay hitting that shot, well, now, it was Rory and Fitzpatrick.
Oh, okay.
That's who it was at that. Fitzy missed his putt. So Rory still had a shot at birdie to make that. While I feel it was a little unprofessional, he might have gone a little long, could it have been some gamesmanship? Because we all know, you and I have talked about this on the pod and in person, we all know about Rory and his clutch putting. Really, I mean, it's spotty. So to put
He
this
does
on-
have clutch putting.
to put this 18th hole Saturday, which could have pretty much sealed it up for the Europeans, birdie putt, could have been a little bit gamesmanship to get in his head. Because if it was, it worked. He missed his putt. And I really think that's the only reason why Rory was so upset, because later in the day, there was waking up on Sunday morning on social media, there was Rory on the parking lot getting into it with Bones, Jim Bones
Yep.
McKay, who had nothing to do with it, you
Yep.
know what I mean?
Yep.
And it just seemed to probably light a little bit of fire under Rory, because he came out charging on that Sunday, but just a lot of drama. Then we're talking about Cantlay, and I guess we should have backed some of this up. Why they were getting it on the chin is because Cantlay wasn't wearing a hat. Mm-hmm. And his excuse was, they don't make a hat that fits my head. Now, I saw someone saying that online, and his words were, we know that's BS because the Ryder Cup clothing budget is that of a small country. You mean to tell me Ralph Lauren or whoever couldn't have made a hat big enough for him because he wears one on Sunday with Goldman Sachs put on it?
Yep. Yeah, agreed. I feel like I did think that was a little line of bull, but I wanted to believe it. But I know all that stuff is tailor-made for each one of those guys, so
Exactly.
it's a fit. But as a guy with a melon, I can appreciate a guy who's struggling finding a hat that fits. But I can't believe that wasn't all worked out months before they got there.
So, the crowd was giving it to Cantlay because of the hat. And Cantlay came out, and the report had come out from Jim Weir or something Weir. I think the guy, Jamie Weir, I think was the writer. And it was about, the division in the locker room and all that stuff. It was Jamie Weir, and Cantlay, said, oh no, I couldn't find a hat. Now, coming this week after the Ryder Cup, Cantlay was picked up on a hot mic during the first day or during a practice round or something like that leading into the European or to the Ryder Cup, asking why isn't he wearing his hat. And he said, I'll wear a hat when I get paid like him. And he pointed to a PGA of America official. So it seems like the money aspect was there. Now, did it really cause a division in the room? We'll never know. I don't think those guys would ever really let that slip. But also coming out, speaking of the money side to it, Xander Schauffele's father came out the week after the Ryder Cup saying that Xander almost got kicked off because he was in contract negotiations with the PGA of America over player compensation and benefits.
Yeah.
So he doesn't seem like Xander, or it doesn't seem like Cantlay was the only one that wanted to get paid.
Man, I don't know where I'm
How
at
do you-
on this.
How do you feel about that? Because the President's Cup, They do get paid. Ryder Cup, they get about $200,000 to give to a charity. Now, we don't hear anything of this going, like you mentioned in our conversation before we started recording. We don't hear any of this from the European side, but it's two different entities that organize it for their teams. It's the PGA of America for the USA and PGA of Europe for the European team. Maybe they got better compensation, stuff that they're happier with. But there does seem to be a little bit of a money rift brewing on the U.S. side. What are your takes?
Well, and this is where I turn into an old fuddy-duddy, as I always like to be kind of on the leading edge. And this one, I got to take a pass. I got to say, I can't imagine Jack Nicklaus or Arnold Palmer complaining about compensation. They all wanted to play. They wanted to be there. They wanted to play, get on the Ryder Cup, and kick some butt.
Right.
Now it doesn't seem like that cuts it. But now you've got things like the NIL, and you got college kids getting paid, and it's like everybody thinks they need to get paid. I don't know how much it costs to get over there. I don't know what those guys really get as far as benefits. Do they pay for their hotel room? Do they pay to get over there when they fly? Do they pay for those things?
So I thought about all that myself. Like, is it these guys are playing for pride and they're on their own dime while they're over there in Rome, or is it all of those accommodations are covered? Meals.
Yeah.
They had that fancy gala where everyone's out with their wives, and
I feel like all that's covered. Kind of like
you would have to think, right?
Yeah, kind of like when I'm playing football, I got my education paid for. I thought that was the trade. But
Right.
again, see how I'm this old fuddy-duddy mentality when it comes to that. Earn your right to be there and be proud that you're there. Maybe that's part of the reason why we're struggling to win as an American team, because we're so caught up in all the other
They couldn't
minutia.
do anything with Zach Johnson and his coaching, could it?
Was Zach Johnson was part of the team? I didn't know. I hardly ever saw him. Hardly ever heard anything about him.
So looking back at it, now, it's the Monday morning quarterback session.
Sure,
now,
fair
ready?
enough. Fair enough.
We had our 6 guys that made it because of points, which were off the top of my head, if I could remember them properly, I think that was Homa, Cantlay, Scheffler, Clark, Harmon, and one other. I can't remember.
Wyndham? Oh, yeah, you said that. Wyndham Clark,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, I can't remember the 6. Whoever it was, the 6 was Brooks, and then right at the end, some point stuff happened, and Brooks dropped.
Yes, yeah, he missed it.
And there was a 6, and I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Morikawa. No, Morikawa was, I think,
A pick?
was a captain's
Spieth?
pick.
Was Spieth the captain's pick? Yeah, see, this is
Yeah.
where I've kind of lost touch, because that's changed too, right?
So I know the captain's picks, I think, were Brooks, Spieth, Morikawa, JT, Fowler, and Burns. So knowing that, who was the other camp?
Who was the guy that I don't know now?
Yeah, anyway.
Oh,
So out of those captain's picks, were they the right picks? Ricky didn't put any points up on the board, and we had his little kerfuffle on,
16.
16 on Sunday, match play. He's down a point. We need 2, and he puts one in the water, and he drops and gets up for a par putt. He's playing Tommy Fleetwood. Fleetwood drives the green. Then he has a long, like 30-plus foot eagle putt, which he puts, I want to say, within 4 feet. And
Yeah, it was right around 3 feet. The announcers were even like, Ricky's going to make him putt this. They were kind of going with conventional wisdom, and everybody was surprised when he gave the putt,
yeah,
right?
then he concedes the putt and concedes the hole, which I think pretty much wrapped it up for them, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe they had one more hole.
Yeah, they got him to 14. Does that?
But that was the surprise, was because we saw on the broadcast 2 or 3 holes before, it was Wyndham Clark and Robert McIntyre. They were kind of in the same situation. They were tied, I believe it was, or they were 1 down. And they were both looking at par putts. McIntyre had like a 2.5, 3 foot par putt. Wyndham made him putt it, and he missed. and won that hole, which got him rolling again. And it's like, why? You heard that, well, maybe he didn't know how close it was or what we needed.
Sure.
But what's your thought on that?
Well, here I take a little bit softer approach. I get why everybody wanted him to make the putt. Those tour pros are going to make that putt 99% of the time. But given the circumstances and the pressure, it's a different animal, and you probably need to make him putt. But I'll go back to, here's the history. 1969 Ryder Cup, you've got Tony Jacklin against Jack Nicklaus. And Jack Nicklaus gave Tony Jacklin this 2.5-foot putt back in the day to tie the match. It was the first time at that time it was Great Britain and Ireland. It wasn't all of Europe at that time.
Yeah.
And it was the first time.
It was basically United Kingdom versus
the UK
right?
versus the US. So at that time, they'd never even come close. And that was the first time the UK had ever tied the United States in points, but a tie, the United States kept the cup. Nicholas, in a press interview later, said, hey, Tony Jacklin's going to make that putt every time. But I didn't want to give him the chance to miss that putt. Tony Jacklin had just won the British Open. Nobody had won the Open at that time. No guy from England, Tony Jacklin's from England, had won the British Open in a number of years. So he was this hero, and everybody was riding high. And here's Nicholas that made sure he still retained his integrity, retained his fame there in England by conceding the putt, tying the match, and then America still kept the cup. It was pretty cool. That was 1969. Okay. It's a great story, and those two went on to build a course called the Concession in honor of that 1969 match. So there's a good example of Nicholas didn't get roasted for that, and that was like the classiest thing he could have ever done. When I look at Ricky, I hope Ricky was thinking, but we retained the cup. Different, sir. You are totally right, and that's where again I'm probably grasping at a small straw to explain my side of it. When really, if the coach had been there or the captain had been there, maybe the captain's like, no concession of putts today. Maybe that should have been a rule.
Yeah, maybe
at
a certain, because you see these captains wearing earwigs, and there's always a vice captain with every group.
Yep.
Maybe at a certain point, Zach, when he saw what the leaderboard and it was coming down to those last groups, gets on there and says, "All right, guys, you let the guys know, no concessions." Or even after watching that Wyndham one, okay, guys, no concessions from here on out. You make them putt it out.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's coaching, right?
Or there's a coaching moment, or maybe that was just like a foregone thought that no, he would never give that putt. I don't know. I'm trying to take Ricky's side a little bit on it, but I also get it. I get why that probably was not a good time to do that.
So there was Ricky. So now looking back at it, you had Sam Burns, Ricky Fowler, JT, Spieth, Koepka, and Morikawa. Were those the right captain's picks?
I'd have to go back and look at the record. I feel like Koepka was a slam dunk. He should have been picked, but I feel like he was kind of a dog. I don't think he was much help at all. I feel like he was on a losing end.
I think he, if I'm not mistaken, he blew through his match, won his singles match.
But that's it. He lost big time.
I think he was out there on Friday, and I think they won Friday. But then on Saturday, he and Scheffler went out there early Saturday and got smoked.
Okay, that's all I've heard about. So I just assumed he got smoked all the way around the course all the day.
I think it was that Ludwig Aberg in match play and smoked him.
Took it out on him, because that was a record-breaking loss that Scheffler and he had, right?
It was like
on
9-7
day 2
or something like that. It was bad.
Yikes. So, Fowler was kind of a non-factor. JT was probably better than advertised.
He was better than Spieth,
and
sure.
better than Spieth.
I think he garnered. I saw the point breakdown of which everyone gained. I think he was like 1.5 points.
Yeah.
For the weekend, but online they were talking about online. After you and I were talking about Zach's coaching moment, it was on Saturday. I forget what hole it was, but it was a drivable par 4 with water up the right-hand side.
16.
The Europeans go. They're in really good position. JT goes. Okay position. You see Spieth on the tee box, driver in hand. Zach Johnson appears like Kaiser Sose out of nowhere. They start talking. Spieth puts the driver back in the bag, pulls 3-wood, and then proceeds to not only put it in the water, but put it in the water and was like 50 yards short, of anything,
Jeez.
of even hitting the green or something like that. And shortly, in one of the greatest trolling moments I have ever seen, it was within an hour or so of that, and I think it was a lot shorter. Bryson DeChambeau puts up a video of Whistling Straits of him driving the par 4.
Yep.
And then goes, sure do miss being out there with those guys.
Ooh, that's dirty. That's dirty. But remember, it was just a few weeks ago, and you and I were talking about who should we pick, and we brought up DeChambeau. He had shot that 59. He was playing hot, and I think I brought up that moment when he was driving the green, and people that got people excited and energized, and he brings a certain passion to the team that wasn't there. I'll be honest, I didn't watch a lot. I'm talking like I've seen some of it, and that's about it. But I wasn't interested in the Ryder Cup this year.
It's tough being in Europe. And then you got to look at, and this is what really got me, I thought I was going to be able to watch more of it because I think, okay, well, it's in Europe. I think about the British Open. Usually I'm turning that on at like 6 o'clock in the morning our time, and they're just getting started, or maybe you've been into it for less than an hour, and then we got most of the morning to watch. Well, they were in Italy, which apparently is another time zone over. So coverage for us was actually starting at like 1-something in the morning.
Yeah.
And we were catching, when I was waking up at 5 o'clock or something to turn this on, I was catching the tail end, dusk, last hour and a half of it. So it was really, really tough to kind of get into and watch. So I had to rely on the last, hour and a half of coverage, what I'm reading it on like ESPN and stuff like that, in the clips of what's happened during the day on TV to kind of put together a picture of what's going on. Never mind that on Friday I'm at work.
Yeah.
And I'm reading this going, what? You
Yeah.
know?
You've had to cobble it all together.
Yeah.
We're losing our tails. It was
just one of those things. And I don't know. I mean, then I talked about this with Josh on our Ryder Cup preview. Did you hear about the Keegan Bradley drama?
No.
So he hadn't either. One of the podcasts that I can't really stand the guys, or some of them, but they do have some good takes here and there, so I still listen to them. Is the Foreplay podcast through Barstool Sports. There are a couple guys on there that, there's a guy named Frankie, and then there's another dude on there who used to be a editor for Golf Digest, so he's still riding real hard for the PGA. PGA Tour can't do anything wrong. And a lot of that comes out through their talking. You're like, and you want to be like, come on, guys, really? But they had an interview with Keegan, and Keegan was talking about the night before the picks were supposed to come out. He gets a call from Netflix and the Full Swing special asking if they could come video with him, which hypes him up, thinking, why would they want to video me? So here he is thinking that he's going to get picked. Come to find out, it might have leaked to them that he wasn't. They wanted his reaction, not for the joy side, but for
The drama of
reaction,
the rejection. Yeah. Oh.
And but I still am going to go on record, and I really don't know who you pull off, because I think Sam Burns did decent as well. I don't think Colin did much. But I still think that DeChambeau, Dustin Johnson, and Keegan Bradley for sure should have found their way somehow in that Ryder Cup. And I remember reading, while they might not, people see them on Live and well, Dustin's doing great on Live. Patrick Reed has always been a big name, and I think, isn't it that him and Patrick have always been, or Dustin and Patrick have always been, they've always been partners. They were. I don't know if it was just Dustin or it was the combination of Dustin and Patrick, if they were, but one of them was like 17-1 in Ryder Cup.
I know Reed's had a pretty good record, or they call him Captain America.
Yeah.
I don't really know what his record is. I also couldn't tell you what Dustin's is. Here's what I do worry about. We can always challenge picks, and I actually like that part of the game to see if they were right or wrong. But I hope we don't have some big tribunal or put some big commission together again to why is the Ryder Cup failing in America? Why can't Americans win the Ryder Cup when they're overseas? And remember a few years ago where they put that big, like Davis Love was on it and Fred Couples and all these guys were on it about how we need to redo it, and Tom Watson got kicked in the face for his bad captaining. I felt horrible for the legend Tom Watson. I hope they don't sit down and do a big commission like that again. It's
No,
just
I don't think
play
they-
better, play harder.
Well, a lot of stuff was coming out afterwards online and through all the golf pundits and the golf pages. Like who should be the next captain? And it came out this week. Whoever, I forget the guy again. I'm forgetting names, but there's a guy from the Ryder Cup. He's an older golfer. Wasn't Watson, but he came out and said that for the next Ryder Cup, it's Tiger Woods' job to turn down as captain.
But the next Ryder Cup's in America. I feel
Well,
like
so we got-
that's a slam dunk, right?
Well, we
You
got
know?
a little bit of drama there I want to touch on too, but yes, but
Too much drama.
Yeah, again, like I said, there's too much drama, and it involves Rory McIlroy. You're really gonna love this one. Surprise, surprise, Rory, drama. Oh,
Rory?
no. So they were talking about this online, and as a joke, like I threw out the name John Daly. If you don't think John Daly's gonna get some dudes psyched out and ready to play, but also Tiger and Phil, if they could co-captain. Now, do I think that's going to happen? Because even though there's a and this is why I think we failed, is because the live rift. Even though there's this whole merger thing on the board and they're still on the table and they're working their stuff out, and everyone says it's going to go through, there's still a rift with live golf. If honest to God, if Zach Johnson would have sat down and said, all right, man, I need the best golfers to round this out. Now, Brooks was there, and let's face it, the only reason Brooks made it is because he won the PGA of America. He won the PGA.
He had a second
championship,
at the Masters and won the PGA. Yep.
and this is hosted by the PGA of America. That's why Brooks was there. Because if he hadn't, Live Golfer don't think he would have been there. But you're leaving guys on the table. You're leaving DeChambeau. You're leaving Patrick Reed. You're leaving Dustin Johnson. Like, these are big names. Bubba Watson has been, Ryder Cup before. Like, and and if you look at the live events, like you might think you're superior to them, but they're still golf events, and they're still modeled like from tee boxes and play after PGA events, after the standard protocol of an event. They haven't done it. I mean, they've added the team aspect, but the golf is still the golf. And these guys are playing great golf. To leave them off because of some little rift, if that's what happened, to me it's a little childish.
Yeah. I don't know if we could ever prove it. I don't doubt that there's something to it for sure. The point is, like, you still have some of the world's best players on another tour that maybe would have had a chance had they had a chance.
Like, I'll tell you what's going to be interesting. Do you think next year in the President's Cup, because they alternate if I'm not mistaken,
Correct.
you think Cam Smith's going to be left off that world team?
Right. No, not in the, they need a
Think
Cam
You
Smith.
think Abraham Ansher's going to be left off, or Joaquin Neiman
Yeah.
off that world tour or that world team? No.
Yeah.
Now, granted, the Europeans won, but we were talking about, the team aspect. Two big Ryder Cup European names weren't there, which were Sergio Garcia Henny and Polk. Now, did it seem to matter to them? But no, but let's be real. One of the reasons, if not the main reason they were left off is because they're on Live now. Matter of fact, I read coming into the week leading up, Sergio Garcia, before those picks were made, it came out that he had approached the DP World Tour and was willing to pay a $700,000 fine so that he could make himself eligible again for the Ryder Cup. And they still turned him down.
Interesting. Interesting. Oh, yeah, the Live has just thrown a big wrinkle into everything. I can't wait till we get through it.
I want them to merge in harmony.
Yep,
And I would
yep.
love to see, a few select events outside of the majors on the PGA Tour where the Live guys can come over and play. And then I'd like to see a rotating PGA Tour team on Live where, they can rotate some of the PGA Tour dudes into a Live event. And let's, if you want to say that one, then let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Because what happens if, let's just say USA, blah, blah, blah. Let's say they give, who'd be a good person to put out? Let's say they give Scotty Scheffler a team captain spot on Live. And then each event, he gets to choose the other 3 guys that he wants to be on them. And he chooses Homa, and they go out there to play these Live guys, but then don't win any of the events.
Why don't you take it one more? Why don't you make McIlroy a captain on Live?
Yeah.
Now
Yeah,
I'd
yeah,
watch.
yeah,
Now I would
yeah.
watch. I'm interested now.
But now speak. So there was, so to finish up the drama, we talked about it. Brooks Koepka took a picture after the Ryder Cup surrounded by, he was in the middle, and he was surrounded by Ricky Fowler, Sam Burns, Max Homa, and Xander Schauffele, all wearing Smash GC, which is Brooks's team on Live T-shirts, with the quote saying, making money moves. Now, knowing how Cantlay has felt about money and the little scuffle that Schauffele had, there were some internet speculations going that the way Schauffele was standing there with the number 1 up, that could Schauffele be making a move to Live to go play on Brooks's team? I don't know this.
But I like that. I like that it's stirring the pot. I had not heard that until you said it. I hope that gets a little more popularity because I'd like that little conspiracy theory to be out there for sure.
And then I teased it. The last drama thing was Rory. God, this dude. For a guy that was so likable up until the live break, his publicist or his wife or his parents or someone in his camp need to tell him to shut the F up. Because here we are, right after the Ryder Cup, Europeans won, feelings are high, but he goes out and says, one of the most biggest things is for the Ryder Cup for a player, is to win a Ryder Cup on foreign soil, is to win a Ryder Cup on foreign soil, and that's what we're going to do at Bethpage.
Is that like a little Joe Namath action? You're predicting your win?
Rory, first of all, if Joe LaCava got under your effing skin, a New York Bethpage crowd is going to bury you.
Yep.
Bury you. You will cry. Those New Yorkers and New Jersey natives who are they will make you cry.
It's a different crowd.
It is a different animal completely. And if you don't think, after this embarrassment, that the USA is going to find another captain, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is Tiger Woods, and Tiger is going to put together the best team possible, despite whatever's going on at the time. to stick it to you and give them an embarrassment like they gave us, you've got another thing coming, Lori. Because I guarantee you it's gonna be a different story. What do you think?
Oh man. Well, I just hope they all get paid.
Now look, again, I get it. I get, the paying thing and wanting to, the possibly.
I'm kidding, actually.
No, I know. But it depends on I'm torn between. I get that, like, should they be getting millions?
No.
But like, if you gave the guys $500,000 and said, all right, a minimum of 50% of this has to go to a charity. What you do with the other 50, whatever. Shut a lot of people up, and you can't tell me they don't have the money. Look at all the merchandise that they throw out there and the different companies.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the licensing. I mean, Barstool had stuff out. Peter Millar had stuff out. All I saw for like the 2-3 months leading into the Ryder Cup was almost every single clothing company out there with their version of Ryder Cup gear.
Yep.
You can't tell me that. I mean,
Yeah. You just didn't see Tiger Woods begging for money. You didn't see Phil Mickelson
let's
begging
be
for
real.
money.
Let's be real. Let's be real about Tiger. Tiger collected the bag before he even played his first round of professional golf from Nike.
Right. Agreed. But Patrick Cantlay isn't hurting either. Right now.
No.
Granted,
He's a FedEx Cup championship.
Yeah.
Has he won any majors? I believe he has.
I don't know. He's so like enigmatic to me. I don't.
Yeah, but still, look at Tommy. Who was it? They were talking about someone on tour that nothing but top. Oh, well, you know what? Here, it was Brian Harman. If you look up Brian Harman, he had only won like 2 or 3 events up until the Masters, but he's a consistent top 10 finisher, multi-millionaire.
Yep. And all he does is he likes to hunt and fish.
Yeah.
He's just a simple guy, former Georgia Bulldog.
Yes, if we're to be mistaken and think that what's his name, Patrick Cantlay's hurting here for the bag.
Right.
No. Patrick has won multiple events. He's a FedEx Cup champion, which that event alone, if you win, is something like, well, I know this year was like, 20 mil?
Yep.
And he won it, 2 years ago?
I think it was like 15 or 17 or something at that time.
It goes up
whatever,
a little bit each year. But still, it was he had beaten Bryson out the event before, which I think was like the BMW, and then won the final one.
Yeah.
He's making money.
Yeah.
He's making money. But, so.
Sorry. I got us sidetracked on that. The whole point is like, man, I don't know whether they want to pay them or not. I don't even want to make a big deal about the Ryder Cup in general. It's like sometimes we're going to lose. And when it was just the UK against the United States, we won all the time. And I don't know what was going on back in the 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s when we were winning all the time. If Europe was going, or UK was just over there having commissions and trying to figure out what they needed to do to play better.
Maybe we should change it. Maybe instead of, since they've taken the whole continent of Europe now, maybe we should just take the whole continent of North America and add some of these Adam Hadwin and Canadian golfers into it with us.
Oh, yeah, we get a Tom Kim in there, and you bet, yeah. Oh, is it Connor? Who is that, Corey Connors?
Yeah, Corey Connors, Adam Hadwin,
Then do we get Mexico as part of that? Who's a good? We get Lorena Ochoa.
Growing up, again, the little one is 12, and growing up, it used to be North America, which was, Canada and America and the United States, then Central America, which included Mexico and like Guatemala and and then there was South America.
Right.
Now I think it's
I don't know what it is this year.
I don't even know what it is anymore. I remember.
Are we showing that we're adults now? We're out of touch.
I think I saw somewhere honestly that 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 Mexico was part of North America. You know, you had NAFTA, North American Free Trade
Right,
Agreement
right.
between America.
Yep.
Who knows?
Yep.
But
Oh, you're taking it from Solheim Cup all the way to NAFTA.
all the way to NAFTA. That's what we do. That's what we do here from the fringe. But so that's our Ryder Cup recap. Do want to ask your opinion on one thing. Came out this week. I don't know if you saw it, so I might be blindsiding you with this one. But next week is the Shriners Invitational in Las Vegas. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's at Shadow Creek.
Oh,
Am
nice,
I
yeah.
right on that one?
You know, I don't know. I would imagine so. I feel like Shadow Creek's part of the rotation now, but I'm not sure.
So Shriners, and I'm going to look it up real quick. Invitational is, let's see, TPC Summerlin.
Oh, okay. And that's been like on the rotation for years. TPC Summerlin. Yep.
Lexi Thompson has announced that she will be playing in the event. She got a sponsor's exemption.
Nice.
I want to see her kick some boys' asses.
You know, that's what I wanted to happen when Annika Sormston did it, and when Michelle Wee did it. I wanted to see that, and it just didn't prove itself out in the pudding.
Yeah, I don't think Michelle ever made a cut, to be honest with you.
No. But and she was thrust into it at a young age. I feel bad, but I wanted to see it happen. Granted, Annika beat a few guys, but I don't know if Lexi's got it. She can hit it. She can flat hit it. I'm a big Lexi Thompson fan, but I don't know if she can make the cut.
I want to see more of this because I believe we touched on this on the last one we were talking about the women. They have that Volvo Class, the Scandinavian Classic of the DP World Tour, which is a straight-up head-to-head mixed event. And 2 years ago, there was a woman that won it, hands down.
Yep.
And, you know, I know we got the mixed event later on this year, which is going to be, I think, December. It's in Florida. I'm forgetting the name of it. We did talk about it, but there was a pairing. It was going to be Jessica Korda and Ricky Fowler, which was a big pairing. Well, Jessica's now pregnant, so she can't play. And I think I read that Lexi's going to be his partner now. And that's great, team golf, you know, partners. But I really, really think, the LPGA can hold their own. But for just exposure for both brands you might have some LPGA watchers that don't really watch the PGA. I know for a fact you got PGA golfers that don't watch the LPGA. And for God's sakes, for them to find one event during the year, maybe during the summertime, in between in between what I guess it would be. Let's see, the U.S. Open and what's the second? With the Masters, it's the first
It'd
one.
be Masters,
Then we have
PGA, U.S. Open, and then Open. Okay,
in between the U.S. Open and the Open, maybe to drum some more viewership during that kind of summer lull, because there is a real lull in between the U.S. Open and the British Open, because once the British Open happens, then we gear into the FedEx, so it gears back up. But there's a little lull there, and maybe to have a head-to-head mixed event, LPGA, PGA, I think it would be.
Yeah, I feel like they've dipped their toes in with the Windy's 3 Tour Challenge back in the early 2000s when Tiger and David Duval and Annika Sorenstam and Kari Webb were kind of their respective like peaks of their game on both tours. They would pair those up. It'd be like Kari Webb, David Duval takes on Annika Sorenstam and Tiger Woods. And that was really cool, and I'd like that, but I'm a golf dork. I'd like them to dip their toes back in, warm people up to it, because I do think there's an opportunity. And those girls can flat play, and that's one of the reasons I like your podcast, is you devote time to the LPGA. I listen to another golf podcast that I won't mention that doesn't talk about the LPGA ever, and it's a shame because those girls can flat play. Here's the problem. It's like Lexi Thompson's going to go play there. I don't know what TPC Summerlin's playing, but a lot of those guys are playing 7,400, 7,600 yard golf courses. The ladies are set up, max like 6,900 yards. That's a lot. That's a lot. Now, when they did that mixed team or that mixed format, the ladies were playing tees that were comparable, so they'd have similar clubs and so on and so
I'd have
forth.
to see how they do it for the Volvo.
Right.
But let's look. Just because these guys might be a little bit longer off the tee, let's not forget. And you and I discuss it. I guarantee you, and I will go out and say a guarantee. I guarantee you, Lexi is more accurate and in tune with her entire bag than some of these PGA Tour golfers. They rely on driver, and then it's what kind of was the course set up in Rome. They knew that the American men players rely on driver, and then the next shot, and that from about what they said 220 to 180 in, they were horrible. But that's what the European guys excelled at.
Yep.
That's what the ladies do too. They don't have that length off the tee. I think the average driving on the LPGA is somewhere, I think, between 250, 270.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
When the PGA is 320 plus. So they have to know those middle clubs, and I think that's where they would excel.
Sure.
Now again, I'd be interesting now to look up after that comment over in Europe on the DP and that Volvo Scandinavian mixed. Do the women play a different set of tees?
Yeah.
It almost goes like another tour idea that I'd like to have, and I don't know if I've ever mentioned this to you. If I have, please stop me. But I think it'd be really cool to see the Champions Tour versus the Champions Tour mixed event with the PGA Tour. Just pull the driver out of the PGA Tour's bag.
Yeah. Cripple them.
Let's put Bernard Langer out there. Let's put Colin Montgomery.
Yeah.
Let's put ponytail and the cigar.
Jimenez,
Angel
Jimenez.
yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Let's put them out there with some of these tour players playing the same set of tees.
Yep.
Well, let's just take the driver out of the PGA Tour players' back. They could throw another club in there. If they want to put another wood in there, absolutely, go ahead. Take the driver out of their hands. And let the Champions guys have their full bag. Just take the driver out of the PGA Tour guys, and let's see what it looks like.
Yep. Yeah, they say Bernard Langer with his 5-wood is better than most guys with their 5-iron. So, I mean, there's some game to be had. And guess who's more used to using a 5-wood? It's the rest of us golfers out here. We're used to 5-woods, right?
You complimented the LP, but that's why I like watching the LPGAs because, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. It's just I can relate to the club selections and the distances of them more than I can watching the PGA guys.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, Travis, thank you very much.
Man, thank you. Sorry for my poor Ryder Cup knowledge this year. 2023 was a tough year for Ryder Cup.
Conversation. We'll have to come back and do some more talking. I'd like to get you on more, at least once a month, just to spice things up. But, guys, thank you all very much for listening and tuning in. This is Travis. We're coming from Starfire again, and y'all have a great one.